This game is rated M for mature. Hey there everybody, redxparasite here, and welcome back to Let's Play Bayonetta. In the last episode we completed Chapter 1, got our first gold rank, and in this episode we're going to be starting Chapter 2. But before we do that, we can go to the Gates of Hell anytime we want from the menu. So, figured let's start with that so we can maybe pick ourselves up something that might be useful.
Take care of my babies, will you? Some people may have a thing for the 45s, but to me, these are the real works of art.
So every time you enter, Rodin will say something different. Hopefully by the end of the LP, we'll have seen everything that he has to say. So, unfortunately, the ones that I want to get the most, as far as the techniques go, are not currently available. So, let's see what else they have. So these ones are both 30,000, so we won't be able to afford them. They're pretty useful. I can at least show them off here. So, heal stop, if you press left to right and then press A, you'll do this kick. You can also summon a Wicked Weave using it if you have magic. So it will deplete your magic some, but you'll get a Wicked Weave out of the deal. And what's useful about that is that it's a very quick way to summon a Wicked Weave if you need to. So I would definitely recommend picking these up, you know, once you actually have enough halos for it. So for now, I think I will get the stiletto. So you can activate it by double tapping forward and then pressing X, or you can hold R forward and X, and that will do the same thing. So I don't know if I'll use it a ton, since I don't think, at least I don't remember using it too much when I was doing the practice stuff for the LP. So it can be useful though if you want to kind of close the distance between you and an enemy and, you know, be attacking in the process. So these are things that you can totally do with a motorcycle.
Fancy bumping into you here.
Oh, and that too.
Out to find some answers about your past, are we?
You've quite the familiar face, and using the same powers. But you'll have to forgive me. Do we know each other?
Same powers? Don't make me laugh. Your little dip in that lake has left you a bit rusty.
I've been high and dry for 20 years now. The only rust on me is from the lack of any real challenge. Perhaps you're up for the task.
You've already disappointed me.
One detail that I really like is how you can actually see how that mirror is gone from her chest, you know, before the game actually shows you there. So nice attention to detail.
This is a moment I've long desired. But you've forgotten your destiny and wasted the past 20 years.
You're right. I do seem to be having trouble remembering things of late. Would you be so kind as to take it from the top?
2 overseers, the eyes of the world. They are the power behind everything.
Jeanne, as heir to the clan, the time has come for you to prove your right to fight under the Umbran name. You may select opponents of your choice.
Then allow me to face the outcast.
None! Helen Kiadagat! The child is of impure blood. Challenging her would be a violation of our tenets of faith.
It would not be the first time we faced each other.
Jared?
Will you face me in this hallowed arena?
Well, if I must. But I pray you've got a little something for me in return. You know, I'm very fond of stuffed animals.
So there's quite a few things that are unexplained here. The game will fill in the blanks a little bit more later. Obviously, this is happening in the past. And, surprise, it's a real fight. So, this is where the game's going to introduce you to something called the Witch Walk, which is where you can walk on walls, but only whenever there's moonlight. So, in this case, you can do it all the time. But it will be used actually after this. So this is kind of a fun little tutorial. This technically counts as a boss fight, so we're facing Jeanne here. Now, actually using the hold fire on her does not work because she'll actually block them. But she is pretty fast, especially compared to other enemies that we've faced so far. So just watch out because she will break out of your combos. So just be ready to die basically at any moment. And so did pretty well on most things, except, you know, took a little bit of damage, but overall she doesn't do too much damage though, so you're probably okay to take a few hits. Especially if you're getting acquainted with the game for the first time. So now we're back to the present, and Bayonetta has remembered how to use the Witch Walk. So before you head to the right, here, on the left here is a statue, and if you break it, there's a broken witch heart inside. So this should be, if you're collecting everything up until now, the first time that you get a health expansion. It will replenish your vitality for, you know, the amount that the witch heart covers. So now that we have that, we can walk forward, and we're going to activate the second verse. So this is our formal introduction to deer and decorations. So the smaller ones are the decorations. So, as before, using the hold whenever you're doing attacks is pretty useful against these guys. It also spawns in some affinities. And I think that should be the last one. Yeah, there we go. So, could have done a little bit better on the combo, at least according to what the game says. So, once you walk down far enough here, the moon will get hidden by some clouds, and you'll fall down, and you won't be able to get back to where the witch heart was. So if you want to get that, just make sure that you get that before getting to this point in the level, because you can't go back from here. So in this alleyway, there's another crow. In case you want to get those, and there are some statues right there. So we're going to walk to the end of the alley first because there's a note here. An unknown metal wall. Within Old Vigrid, many ancient stone structures have been preserved, being developed further as they are repaired, lending the town a peculiar sense of the historic. Modern architecture has also taken hold in Vigrid, starting with the central station. However, it is all to give form to the sacred institutions of the ancient sages. The architecture gives us a glimpse into the people's deep sense of respect for their past. This town of old and new still keeps within its bounds several strange things that the modern man struggles to make heads or tails of. For instance, the dark green barriers, made of an as yet unknown metal, seem to block certain alleyways. Their shape, comprised of many complex bricks, impedes one from proceeding down the ancient paths of the city as though they were a rejected visitor, even though it seems these paths saw everyday use in their distant past. I may claim this material is as yet unknown, but in reality I haven't a clue regarding its composition. It is harder and heavier than anything a human being is capable of moving, or so I have surmised from examining its chilly surface. Pushing one's ear against the wall, the sounds of the other side reverberate and echo within, resounding throughout the inner workings of the wall, as if a glockenspiel was playing scales. I've never seen a metal like this, but many of the walls within the city are made from this material, and from the cliffs one can see an enormous monument constructed from the same mysterious matter. I wonder why these lost witches and sages scattered these walls around this city. So, if we go up to this particular wall, and we try to open it, it will close too quickly for us to get past. So, if you remember those statues back at the other end of the alley, we can get past it if we open it while we're in witch time. So this is a scenario where it's actually useful to delay activating the lightning from the statues, just so you have more time to pound on the door and get past it. So now that we're in this alleyway, you can break some of the pots and benches and things in the areas to get some of the concoction materials, as well as halos. I may not do that all the time, just because there's a lot of stuff for you to break, and I don't want to waste time doing too much of it. But before you walk out into the middle of this courtyard, yet again, there's more stuff for us to get on the side. So this chest here, this has an arcade bullet in it, so it'll get us 3 of those for the arcade game at the end of the mission. There's also a broken witch heart up. You just have to jump up into this corner, as well as a note over here as well. Notes on the topic of magic 1. The word witch usually conjures up images in our head of an old woman using strange magic, but peruse the history of Vigrid and you may find a vastly different picture of incredibly brave women who once inhabited the area. They were known as the Umbra Witches. While these witches are said to have manipulated magic, there remains very little recorded history to back these claims. Yet they shared many powers with their opposing counterparts, the Lumen Sages, and from their records we can get a better view of what magic entailed. As overseers of history, they possessed the ability to literally see everything in an instant, also known as temporal control. This technique sharpened all of the 5 senses and pushed one's emotional energy to its very limits. It is a world where a falling drop of water can become a crown, and a hummingbird slowly and elegantly flaps its wings. Temporal control is not just simply being able to recognize this world, it also enables one to boost their physical abilities and move freely within that single moment. Temporal control requires a sound body and mind and complete grasp of spirit energy. While quite similar, the witches and sages each practice this art differently, leading to their different names for their respective techniques: witch time and light speed. Witch time. It seems that the witches on this earth fell victim to our world's passage of time and vanished into the abyss of eternity. Alright, so now that we have gotten all of those things, I think we are good to run into the middle of the square here.
Do you believe in fate? Fate brought us here together, and it will never tear us apart.
Smooth moves.
Damn it! I said stop! I'm authorized to use deadly force! Fuck! Where'd that bugger go?
Sayonara. Fleur de ciré, eau de parfum. Such a wonderful floral bouquet. With its subtle hints of rosemary. You know, in the language of flowers, rosemary equates to remembrance. Which doesn't quite equate to you, now does it? Bayonetta. Shit! Will you stop that?
That little Bayonetta was a nice touch. Seeing you here, I suppose it wasn't the only one. You certainly blew, haven't you, my little Cheshire puss?
I'm not your pet. The name is Luka. A name you better remember. Ah! Shit! Damn it! Wait! You can't just run away from me like that! I know what I saw that day! I know all about your kind. Sure, my colleagues laugh at me for chasing fairy tales, amongst other things. But I know they're real. I know the truth. The smell. It's the same smell that clung to the air the day my father was murdered. Which means I'm right on your doorstep, Bayonetta.
I'll let you in on a little secret, Cheshire.
The name is Luka.
You need to
hone your sense of smell, my dear.
There's no rosemary in the perfume. After all, rosemary's a demon repellent.
So we have ourselves a fight here. So this is our first introduction to Luka. Has some history with Bayonetta. So his father was killed back when she was resurrected from... That wasn't very nice. But back when she was resurrected from the lake. So he kind of blames her for his father's death. But, you know, we don't have all of the details about the circumstances of that, so... You know, things will get explained more later, but for now... we have quite a few enemies, including a new one. So where are you? There you go. We use our torture attack on this guy since, you know, we'll take out his entire health bar for us nicely. And once we dispatch him, we have a couple more affinities, but a beloved appears, so I'll try to get as much out of that witch time as possible. I could have sworn I dodged that one, but... So I don't think you're able to kill this beloved here, just because I think once you get to a certain point, he will run away. So, not much you can do there. And you don't have to kill him to complete the verse either.
You only run away so fast because you've got something to run from. Me! But you can't escape me forever.
Okay, well, that was alright. Not the best performance. So, in order to go forward, the way is through here. So, just make sure you get everything in the courtyard before you leave if you want to get that stuff. When you start running down the street here, we're going to have another encounter. There's a subway car. You can just dodge through it. Doesn't really make too much sense, but just gotta roll with it. And we have a new type of enemy. These are called enchants. They're wheels. Okay, I could have sworn I hit the dodge button for that one. These guys can be a little bit tricky to lock down. They're very movement heavy. So it can be difficult to hit them, especially if they're moving, if you try to use Wicked Weaves on them. So yeah, took a little bit of... Ow. Ran into the fire. Don't touch the fire, it hurts you. That was pretty good, all things considered. Once you defeat them, if you run back up to the street, to where the trolley came from, there is an Alfheim level here, so we are going to go ahead and jump into that, and that'll probably be the last thing that we do before ending the episode. So with these Alfheim levels, I'm going to try to complete them on the first try. Will not always do that most likely. If I'm having some difficulty, I'll probably just cut away until I do it successfully, and then I'll just show you the successful attempt from those, just so I don't take up too much time. So in this one, we have a limited number of punches and kicks. So the strategy that I would recommend using is activate Witch Time by evading one of his attacks. Alright, I'm just gonna start this one over again since I'm not doing so great. Activate Witch Time, and then the combo that you want to do is punch, kick, punch. Because you'll get a Wicked Weave out of that, and then you want to hold all 3 buttons for as long as possible. Because you'll get extra damage that way by shooting the enemy. So if you do it right, you'll get, you know, a solid quarter to third of the health bar. So you can usually do it in 3 or 4 of this combo. So that's generally for the Alfheim levels where you have a limited number of punches and kicks. That's the strategy that I'll go for. Usually works out pretty well. Also, fun little thing that I forgot to mention, you can taunt by pressing the L button.
You want to touch me?
That's another little thing you can do, you know, if you got a pure platinum like I just did and are feeling good about yourself. You can do that. So we're going to head back into the real world, because we're actually, you know, going somewhere else for these, because we're going through portals that we're, you know, now thinking with. But I think that will do it for this episode of Let's Play Bayonetta. So thank you very much for watching. I've been redxparasite, signing out.